Here we have the hourly price chart for Intel Corporation, stock ticker INTC. In this video, we will kind of re-summarize last week's activity to try to figure out where exactly we stand with this stock. Last week had some very interesting price movements. We've recently seen a major breakout in Intel. This was not forecast by large portions of the market. There were significant majorities in the market that seemed to think that Intel would just continue trading sideways, that we would possibly even start moving lower. As we can see here, we have seen a very forceful breakout recently, and this does kind of put the stock on a much better footing here for making gains here throughout the summer trading period. So what we're going to be looking at here is what this breakout actually looks like, and how this stock has fared within the broader context, given that last week really was characterized by large amounts of heavy selling pressure that was specifically directed at the technology space. So if we look at this price chart here, we can see that most of this downside activity, most of this negative price action really occurred during the Thursday trading period. That would be all these red candles here crossing over the yellow 20-hour exponential moving average. We did manage to find a bit of support here just ahead of the 50-hour exponential moving average, which would be the orange line here. And then we even did manage to, correct these gains and recover all of those losses and then some. As we can see, the most recent highs have posted at 35.47, which is a strong improvement, relatively speaking, given the fact that prior price highs formed a double top chart formation just above the $35 mark. So this initial resistance zone came in at 35.22, and then the following price high posted at 35.15. So roughly 35.20 really did mark a double top trading period. So it was somewhat surprising to see that we were able to travel back closer to 35.50, despite the fact that most of the market was still trading under a fair amount of selling pressure. If you remember on Thursday, there were some major sell-offs in the S&P 500. The NASDAQ, the Dow Jones Industrial Average had some significant selling pressure directed that way. And overall, the main stocks that were affected by this were seen in the technology sector. We saw major declines in NVIDIA, Apple, Tesla saw some significant declines. Meta Platforms saw some very significant declines. But since then, the recovery period has been quite mixed. So some stocks have fared much better than others. So, for example, Meta Platforms, the Facebook company, for example, has not really recovered any of its losses. It's continued to fall sharply lower and break through a series of support levels in the process. Whereas Intel, on the other hand, managed to recover all of its prior losses and even post a bit of a new high through important resistance levels. So to see this type of activity here was a bit surprising, and it does seem to suggest that we might start to see a different picture going forward this summer with respect to how technology stocks favor in relation to one another. So, in other words, if we do see a sell-off in tech, will the results be similar? Will we see similar percentage declines throughout the tech space, or will we start to see some more mixed results with some winners and losers starting to emerge? And some stocks faring much better than others. Because if we look at the current example here, Intel and let's say Facebook, Meta, do present some interesting examples here, because Intel recovered all of its losses relatively quickly, but Facebook was not able to do this. We have seen some basing activity in some of the other stocks. For example, Nvidia has somewhat found a base after the recent sell-off. But we definitely have not recovered all of the losses that were encountered previously. So, in my view, I think that we are going to start to see some divergences here. I think that we're going to start to see some mixed results in the technology space. And I'm curious what people think about that. I mean, do you believe that there will be winners and losers here in the market going forward? within the tech space? Or do you think that we will kind of go back to the prior trend and see the technology sector perform in a more uniform manner? So, for example, if we see a 5% decline in Nvidia, will we also see a 5% decline in Apple? If we see a 5% gain in Tesla, will we also see a 5% gain in Microsoft? Things along those lines. Or are we going? Do you think we're going to start to see some more winners and losers, some different performances present throughout the technology sector? Because I do think that we saw this during the Thursday trading session, and I think the real question here is whether or not these trends are likely to continue throughout the rest of the summer trading period. So going forward here, we did see a bit of a decline in prices in Intel share prices into the close on Friday. We did dip back below this double top resistance zone, but I think it's important to note here that we did manage to break this quite clearly, and we even got a bit of a higher close here. We did close above this double top resistance zone on an hourly basis. This would not be a daily basis or a weekly basis, but we did close outside of it on an hourly basis, and that does sort of confirm that the upside break has occurred. So we can largely start to disregard this double top price zone. I just left it marked here because this was a fairly significant resistance zone last week, and we did manage to plow through here fairly easily, even though large portions of the market were still trading under heavy selling pressure. So, going forward, this is going to be the main resistance level to watch to the top side, in my view. Roughly 35.50 is where we could start to see some selling pressure emerge going forward. To the downside, I would be looking at share price declines being capped at roughly 33.35. This could emerge as a new support zone here, support zone at higher levels. And overall, the bullish outlook does seem to be aided by the fact that we've got a long-term rising indicator reading here in the relative strength index. That would be the purple line down here. We do see that there's a positive trend that has developed here, and this does suggest that there's positive momentum underlying these recent price moves higher. So overall, that does help to kind of confirm these recent breakouts. It does help to suggest that these breakouts have not been a false breakout or unsustainable or something like that. We have seen a fairly convincing range break here to the top side, and this new acceleration above prior resistance zones at this double top resistance formation do make things look quite encouraging here going forward. So I would like to hear your views on whether or not you think that Intel can possibly be a winner within the technology space, or do you think that we'll start to see more uniform activity within the tech sector as a whole? Here's the latest market update for Intel Corporation, stock ticker INTC.